Every single day, millions of car owners climb into their vehicle, back out of the driveway, and drive down the road with headlights that are putting out maybe 30 to 40% of the light they were designed to produce. The lenses covering those headlights have turned yellow. They have gone cloudy and opaque. They have developed that distinctive foggy haze that makes an otherwise perfectly maintained car look 10 years older than it actually is, and reduces nighttime visibility to a level that is not just cosmetically disappointing, but genuinely dangerous. And every single one of those car owners has been told the same thing by every dealership service department, every auto parts store headlight restoration kit display, and every mechanic they have ever asked, that restoring foggy headlights is a technical job that requires professional equipment, proprietary chemical compounds, and somewhere between $80 and $150 of professional labor to accomplish correctly. Every single one of them has been lied to. There is an ingredient sitting in your bathroom right now that restores foggy headlights to crystal clear optical clarity in under 10 minutes. It costs less than $1 per treatment. It requires no special equipment, no professional knowledge, no proprietary kit, and no trip to the dealership. You apply it with a soft cloth and a little circular motion, rinse it off with water, and stand back and look at headlights that appear to have just come off the factory assembly line. The foggy yellow oxidation layer that has been building up on the surface of your headlight covers for years, the layer that your dealership quoted you $150 to remove, is gone, completely, in 10 minutes, with something you already own. This ingredient has been sitting in bathroom cabinets across America for generations. Its ability to restore clarity to oxidized plastic and polycarbonate surfaces has been known among practical mechanics and self-reliant car owners since plastic headlight covers first appeared on vehicles in the 1980s. It was never a secret in any meaningful sense. It was simply never mentioned by anyone who stood to profit from your ignorance of it. And in the automotive service industry, the profit from that ignorance runs into hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Welcome to the Ancient Prepper. If recovering practical forgotten knowledge that the modern world buried under layers of unnecessary expense and professional gatekeeping is what brought you here, subscribe right now and ring that notification bell because this channel exists for exactly one reason: to give back what was taken from you. To understand why this ingredient works so effectively on foggy headlights, you first need to understand what is actually happening to your headlight covers and why they go foggy in the first place. This is something that dealerships and auto parts stores have a strong financial incentive to keep complicated and mysterious, because once you understand the simple physics and chemistry of what is happening, the solution becomes immediately obvious and the $150 restoration quote becomes immediately insulting. Modern vehicle headlight covers are made from polycarbonate plastic, a tough, lightweight, optically clear material that replaced glass headlight covers in automotive manufacturing starting in the early 1980s. Polycarbonate is an excellent material for headlight covers in almost every respect. It is impact-resistant, lightweight, and can be molded into complex aerodynamic shapes that glass cannot achieve. But it has one significant vulnerability that glass does not share. It is highly susceptible to ultraviolet radiation damage. Every time your car sits in sunlight, every day, in every parking lot, in every driveway, on every highway, the ultraviolet component of that sunlight is bombarding the surface of your polycarbonate headlight covers. Automobile manufacturers coat the outer surface of polycarbonate headlight covers with a thin UV protective layer during manufacturing to slow this process down. But that UV protective coating is itself vulnerable to UV degradation over time. After 3 to 5 years of regular sun exposure, the UV protective coating begins breaking down. Once the protective coating degrades, the UV radiation begins attacking the polycarbonate material itself. The UV radiation breaks the molecular bonds in the polycarbonate surface layer, a process called photooxidation. The oxidized polycarbonate molecules change their optical properties. Instead of transmitting light cleanly and clearly the way the original material does, the oxidized surface layer scatters and diffuses light, creating the foggy, yellowed, hazy appearance that affects virtually every vehicle older than 5 years that is regularly parked in sunlight. What you are looking at when you see foggy headlights is not dirt. It is not a film that can be washed off. It is not a condition that improves by itself over time. It is a physically degraded surface layer of oxidized polycarbonate that sits on the outermost surface of your headlight cover, typically between 0.5 millimeter and 2 millimeters thick, that needs to be physically removed through abrasive polishing to expose the clear, undamaged polycarbonate material underneath. This is the critical insight that makes the solution immediately obvious once you understand it. The fogginess is a surface condition. It exists on the outermost layer of the headlight cover. Remove that surface layer through fine abrasive polishing, and the crystal clear material underneath is revealed immediately. The dealership charges you $150 to do this with professional polishing compounds and electric buffing equipment. The headlight restoration kits at the auto parts store charge you between $25 and $45 to do this with the same compounds in smaller quantities and a manual application pad. Both of these approaches work because the underlying principle, fine abrasive polishing to remove the oxidized surface layer, is correct. What neither the dealership nor the auto parts store kit will ever tell you is that the exact same fine abrasive polishing action can be accomplished with something that has been sitting in your bathroom cabinet since the day you moved into your home: toothpaste. Standard white toothpaste, Not gel, not specialty formulation, not whitening strips. Just ordinary white toothpaste from any brand contains fine mineral abrasive particles that are specifically engineered to polish surfaces at a microscopic level without causing scratching damage to the material being polished. The primary abrasive compounds in standard toothpaste include hydrated silica, calcium carbonate, and in some formulations fine baking soda, all naturally occurring mineral compounds that have been ground to a particle size so fine that they polish through microscopic abrasion rather than scratching. This is precisely what makes toothpaste so effective on tooth enamel. It removes surface staining and plaque through gentle microabrasion that cleans and polishes the enamel surface without damaging the underlying tooth structure. The polycarbonate surface of a Foggy headlight cover responds to toothpaste abrasion in exactly the same way that tooth enamel responds. The fine mineral particles in the toothpaste physically abrade and remove the thin oxidized surface layer of the polycarbonate, buffing it away particle by particle with each circular stroke of the application cloth. As the oxidized material is removed, the clear, undamaged polycarbonate underneath is progressively exposed. After 10 minutes of circular buffing motion with toothpaste applied to a soft cloth, the entire oxidized surface layer has been removed and the headlight cover is optically clear. Now let me take you through the history behind this principle, because the use of fine mineral abrasive pastes to restore clarity and polish to surfaces is not a modern discovery. It is one of the oldest practical techniques in human civilization, and the fact that it applies perfectly to modern polycarbonate headlight covers is simply the latest chapter in a very long story. Ancient Egyptian craftsmen used fine abrasive pastes made from ground mineral compounds, natron, calcite, and fine desert sand to polish optical surfaces, decorative stones, and metal mirrors to a reflective clarity that modern analysis has confirmed was extraordinarily high by any standard. The principle of using a fine abrasive compound worked in a circular motion to progressively remove surface imperfections and restore underlying clarity was understood and practiced in ancient Egypt over 4,000 years ago. Roman craftsmen used pumice paste, pumice being a naturally occurring volcanic glass ground to fine particle size to polish metal surfaces, decorative stonework, and translucent materials. Medieval European craftsmen used fine chalk paste and bone ash compounds to polish glass, metal, and stone surfaces to optical clarity. The principle has never changed across 4,000 years of human craftsmanship because it is based on fundamental physics that does not become obsolete. When plastic headlight covers began appearing on vehicles in the early 1980s, the practical mechanics of that era, who understood surface restoration principles, recognized immediately that the same fine abrasive polishing approach that had restored clarity to surfaces for thousands of years would work equally well on oxidized polycarbonate. These were the mechanics who grew up rebuilding engines with hand tools, who understood materials at a practical level that modern dealership technicians trained on computerized diagnostic systems often do not develop. They experimented with what they had available, toothpaste being the most conveniently accessible, fine abrasive paste in any household, and found that it worked effectively and consistently on Foggy headlight covers. This knowledge spread through the practical mechanic community through direct experience and word of mouth. It was never published in an automotive service manual because no automotive service manual has a financial incentive to tell you how to do something yourself for free that a dealership can charge you $150 to do professionally. The headlight restoration kit industry emerged in the late 1990s and early 2000s as plastic headlight covers became universal on vehicles. The first generation of those covers began showing significant UV oxidation damage. The kits were marketed aggressively as the necessary specialized solution to a technical problem that required proprietary compounds and specific application methods. The marketing was effective, the kits sold by the tens of millions, and the knowledge that standard toothpaste accomplished the same result was effectively buried under the marketing weight of a product category that generated hundreds of millions of dollars in annual retail revenue. Meanwhile, the dealership headlight restoration service grew alongside the kit market, offering professional application of the same polishing compounds at a significant labor markup. A service that takes a trained technician approximately 15 minutes to perform was priced at between $80 and $150 at dealerships across the country, a markup that is only possible because the customer base had been successfully convinced that the process required professional expertise and specialized equipment that they could not replicate at home. The numbers tell the real story of what this industry suppression has cost the average car owner. The average vehicle develops significant headlight fogging between 3 and 6 years of age, depending on climate and sun exposure. The average American keeps a vehicle for approximately 12 years. That means the average car owner deals with the headlight fogging problem at least once and often twice during their ownership of a single vehicle. At dealership pricing of $150 per restoration, that is between $150 and $300 per vehicle over the ownership period. Across 2 vehicles, the average American household, that is between $300 and $600 over a typical ownership cycle. A single tube of standard white toothpaste costs between $1 and $4 and contains enough material for multiple complete headlight restoration treatments. The saving over a typical vehicle ownership period between $296 and $596 per household, So here is exactly how you restore your foggy headlights correctly and permanently using toothpaste. The process is straightforward, requires no special equipment, and takes under 15 minutes from start to finish. Before you begin, wash both headlight covers thoroughly with soap and water, and dry them completely with a clean cloth. You want to remove any loose surface dirt, grit, or road debris before you begin the polishing process, because any grit particles on the surface during polishing will cause scratching rather than smooth abrasive polishing. Clean, dry headlights are essential to getting the best result. Apply a generous amount of standard white toothpaste, not gel formulation, not clear formulation, specifically white opaque toothpaste, directly onto a clean, soft microfiber cloth or a soft cotton cloth. Using a firm circular motion, work the toothpaste across the entire surface of the headlight cover, applying consistent, moderate pressure. The circular motion is important. It ensures that the abrasive action is uniform across the entire surface, rather than creating directional scratching patterns that would be visible in the finished result. Work methodically across the entire headlight surface, making sure every area receives the same amount of polishing attention. You will notice the toothpaste beginning to yellow and discolor as it picks up the oxidized material being removed from the headlight surface. This is the process working exactly as it should. Continue the circular polishing motion for between 5 and 10 minutes per headlight. You do not need to apply excessive pressure. The abrasive particles in the toothpaste are doing the microscopic work, and more pressure does not significantly accelerate the process. Consistent, moderate pressure applied in smooth, circular motions for the full polishing time is what produces the best result. After the polishing period, rinse the headlight cover thoroughly with clean water to remove all of the toothpaste residue and dry it immediately with a clean cloth. Look at your headlight. The foggy yellow oxidation layer is gone. The polycarbonate underneath is clear, smooth, and optically transparent. Your headlight is now putting out the full light output it was designed to produce, typically 2 to 3 times more light than the fogged cover was transmitting before treatment. There is one additional step that separates a good result from a permanent result, and it is the step that most people who know about the toothpaste method skip, which is why some people report their headlight fogging again within a few months of toothpaste restoration. After you have completed the toothpaste polishing and rinsed the headlight clean, apply a coat of automotive paste wax or a dedicated UV protective sealant to the restored headlight surface. The toothpaste polishing has removed the original factory UV protective coating along with the oxidized material above it. Without a new UV protective layer, the fresh polycarbonate surface you have just exposed will begin oxidizing again within months of sun exposure. A coat of automotive paste wax applied and buffed to a clear finish provides a temporary UV barrier that extends the clarity of the restored headlight significantly. For the most permanent result, a dedicated UV-resistant clear coat sealant applied after the toothpaste polishing provides a restoration that lasts as long as the original factory coating, 3 to 5 years of clear headlight, from a single treatment that cost you $1.15 of your time. Your grandfather never drove around with foggy headlights for the same reason he never called a plumber to fix a leaky faucet or a painter to touch up a scuffed wall. He understood his vehicle and his home at a practical level that the modern service industry has spent decades systematically replacing with professional dependency. He knew what his materials were made of, he knew what affected them, and he knew what to do about it using what he had available. That practical, self-reliant knowledge. The knowledge that the surface of a plastic headlight cover can be restored with a fine abrasive paste, the same way any oxidized surface has been restored for 4,000 years of human craftsmanship, was never complicated. It was never secret. It was simply inconvenient for an industry that discovered it could charge $150 for 15 minutes of work as long as nobody told the customer that the same result was sitting in their bathroom cabinet. Now you know. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with every car owner you know who has been squinting through foggy headlights and dreading the dealership quote, and stay with me because what is coming in the next video goes even deeper into what they buried.